it into an exhibit to live in the museum, and then we have that, and it's like, well, if we're gonna have that, why don't we have the Kenyan biologists like on site to answer questions? We can have a whole event and have food and drink and like let's do all this stuff, but that takes like months of planning. So, and a lot of emails, but I have a lot of help here at the Field Museum, and most people are really incredibly supportive of what it is that we're doing, and by most, like anybody I ask for help is more than willing to help out. So that's what I do here at the museum. And outside of that, I do a lot of talks and presentations at other universities in and around Chicago. I travel a lot for work. I'm going to Gettysburg College in a couple of weeks to give a lecture there about the importance of science communication and to, wave my flag for Chief Curiosity correspondence. And I just got back from an expedition with a bunch of geologists in Wyoming. I'm going to spend the month of October in Peru with our conservation group. There's a lot that happens. And then I'll do the random event here or there. Like I didn't really help out with. I participated in and made an appearance at the Mental Floss Trivia event that was passing through Chicago last week. I did, have interviews with newspapers and radio shows and podcasts, and I do photo shoots. Like last Monday, I spent all Monday morning doing a photo shoot for Cosmopolitan magazine. There's a lot that happens around here, but it's awesome. I love it.
Do you have any contemporaries? That is, folks who work at museums but also have an online presence?
Not an online video. Yeah. There are a growing number of researchers, scientists, and museum employees, if I'm talking just about museums or like research institutions or people at NASA or whatever, that do have online presence, and they incorporate like social media and fostering that online presence as a big part of their outreach and a big part of like being a spokesperson or an ambassador for their institution. But I can't think of another museum or place that has like a face. A face to the name kind of thing. The closest thing I can think is like Bobak, who's the Mohawk guy from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Remember when the Mars rover landing? Like Bobak's kind of become the face of JPL in that sense, and I got to meet him, and it was awesome. He's really great. But I think there needs to be more of us. We kind of need. I think people have a preconception of what the people inside of an institution look like, and if you're not actively working towards changing what that preconception is, you're kind of missing out on an opportunity to include more people in your mission. You think about a museum, and the image that comes to mind is typically an old white curator, or you think of like a nerdy engineer and nerdy physicist, and like nerdy not in an endearing kind of way, like nerdy in a like, well, I don't want to hang out with those guys kind of way. When it comes to like a place like NASA or the particle physics, whatever. And I think that's a shame, because that's not what scientists and physicists look like at all. So I think it behooves other institutions to put a face to their place, and I didn't intend for that to rhyme. So I wish there were other contemporaries. I go to other institutions and give lectures, and I advocate for more Chief Curiosity correspondence, because damn it, we ought to have, a conference that we can go to every year and hang out. I don't want to be the only one. It's lonely.
On the topic of science communicators,
like Carl Sagan is kind of touted as the first really great science communicator decades and decades ago. And it's that line of work is seeing a resurgence, definitely. You have people like Neil Tyson who are doing a really fantastic job of communicating science and popularizing science again. And yes, science communication is like an up-and-coming thing. But at the same time, the avenue in which you are doing science communication really changes. Like how I approach a video script versus how a science writer for an online publication or traditional media publication would approach the same topic, they're completely different. Like the delivery is different. And on top of that, like science communication can and is adaptable to like an infinite number of media and outlets. One of the people who was at the conference I did at MIT was one of the members from the Wu-Tang Clan, because he's coming out with an album all about science rap songs. And this is for a select audience. Like he is taking his background as a world-renowned hip-hop artist and taking this to urban environments and urban schools and public schools and trying to get underprivileged youth excited about learning science through rap. And I think it's great. It's obviously not something that I could probably do, but he does it in spades. So it's kind of like having a conference all about math. Like, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of different avenues you can take, but yeah, incorporating science communication and science literacy into the larger picture and larger dialogue is increasingly important.
Do you have any advice for individuals or organizations who would be interested in becoming or enabling the next Chief Curiosity Correspondent?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of advice. Not that I would be able to summarize it all in like a 2-minute answer, but I think there needs to be support on both sides. I think there needs to be more support and encouragement from universities and academic environments to foster good communicators within their degree programs. So in addition to getting your physics or your geology or your geosciences or your biology degree, you should also be required to take communications courses. It's the same kind of thinking like when I was in art school, they really encouraged us to take business courses because you can't have one without the other. You can't be really, really good at art and have no understanding of how to sell your art. I mean, you can. You're going to be at somewhat of a disadvantage. So I think fostering the well-rounded scientist or the well-rounded artist or the well-rounded anybody is really important. And creating critical thinkers is also imperative. So people who can like